All right, hello and welcome. Episode 4.2. This is Two Dumbbells and a Microphone. I'm Joey Dussel.
I'm DJ Moore.
And we are back at it today to follow up on our previous episode. So episode 4, that was what makes a good workout. We recorded that 1 week ago, but maybe you just listened to it a few moments ago. And we're going to come in right on the heels of that podcast episode. And now we're going to talk about some specifics on ways and methods that a person can actually achieve some of the variables that we alluded to in the previous episode. So if you haven't heard episode 4.1, check it out before you listen to the rest of this one.
Right. The details, actually, we left out, well, because we talked about the kind of details and numbers that we deal with on a daily basis for ourselves. So do you want to start with kind of giving them a hint of how we perceive sets and reps and maybe the styles and things that we do for ourselves? Is that a good place to start for this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Go for it.
Oh, okay, great. What are my workouts?
DJ has a whole binder of notes here. So we've been thinking about this episode, really since the previous episode, and we want to strike a balance between our own personal experience and our subjective accounting of the world, and also what works for our clients. So we're going to talk about our own personal workouts because really we demonstrate a lot of the things people are trying to achieve, consistency and intensity, etc. But then we're also going to give it this realistic filter of, what we see for people who are coming to us as clients, because we know that not everybody participates in fitness the way we do.
This is true. True story. Just today, I'm wearing my 60-pound weighted vest to do my workout.
Wow, cool.
So it's not something you see every day. Especially, it's hard to tell what that thing weighs when one is wearing it. Mm-hmm. People usually just know it's something weighted.
Yeah.
So mine is a 60-pounder, thanks to my my lovely fiance. That was my Christmas gift.
So cool.
It is cool, and it's very daunting, and it's very hard to wear because it compresses the chest and makes breathing very hard to do with anything that you're doing. So
sure.
That was what I was doing today. Okay. So let's talk a little bit how I go through my schedule of working out. Well, one, I can say this from the go.
Okay, cool. Hang on a second, though. I love this. So you got a 60-pound weight vest as part of what makes a workout for you. I think that's a crucial detail to share because it kind of gives us an example of where you're at. And really, we want to make sure that this is working for people who are starting with maybe a 60-pound weight vest of body fat.
Extra body weight.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Okay, so he's nodding along in agreement. Okay, hit me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, I don't want to I don't want us to seem braggadocious. It's something a term that you use quite a bit. And it's not a brag. It's just it shows how many years I've been doing this that I can use this implement to help me to achieve what I believe is a good workout.
Okay, gotcha.
So I use these are extreme tools to achieve that. And so it's also sometimes I just don't want to actually pick up weights in my hands is why I use a tool like this.
Kind of load up the body instead of the arms.
One of my favorite workouts is just body weight workouts. So one of the things I was doing today was box jumps.
Okay.
So 60 pounds and I put up.
Wow, awesome.
What was it? 12, 18, what is it? 26? No, 30-inch box jumps.
Okay.
I have a video of it. I can't even remember, but it's like a 30-inch jump.
Wow.
Which is normally without the vest is easy. But with this on, it is very difficult.
Yeah.
So that's why I wear it, because I need that challenge to justify where I'm at, but it also helps me to achieve maybe that next level, the next inch I jump without it.
I see.
So I'm setting my body up for the next thing to try, because if anybody listens to our very first
episode 0,
where we talk about the box jump you and I did, and you can jump higher than me, don't think I forgot. So,
oh man, I'm not training for it, and you're going for it.
I'm sorry. Well, I know it's an unfair thing to say, but in my head, even if we never did that, it was still in my head that I wanted to improve anyway. Regardless of what you do, it's just something I'm going to go try for because that's in my nature to do so, which may say something about how we work out. I'm very intent on achieving something out of it.
I see.
Not necessarily in that moment, but something maybe 3 or 4 months down the line, which I know it's going to take me that long to get there.
Okay.
Because all the training that I've done has shown me that you don't get something overnight or a week or a month or a year
Right.
or 2 years.
Yeah.
Like my Nordic hamstring curls, which are hard.
Well, those are tough.
I thought for sure I'd be doing at least 1 or 2 of them by myself by now, and I'm not.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the level I want to work at, but not always.
Okay, so if I'm tracking this correctly, you got the weight vest. You're using the weight vest to get yourself into that zone that's going to be continually improving you for something that's maybe much long-term, weeks, months down the road. Okay, cool. I think that's a really important thing to share because, I think the most important factor of fitness is getting into that challenge zone. And for you to need a 60-pound weight vest, well, that means that, you've built your body up and you've developed your strength, but you still need to go a bit beyond what you're currently capable of in the workout in order to stimulate your body to become better in that way.
Better. For me, it's always a test of where I'm at. Where are you at your age right now in comparison to others your age? Like, how do I fit in? Like, where do I belong? Like, and can I even teach this stuff to other men I'm like, hey, look, you don't have to be sedentary. Let me show you how you can live an active, healthy lifestyle without having to have 6-pack abs, or how do you build more muscle after 40? Like, come on.
Yeah,
so,
see, that's really cool because I do have 6-pack abs, but I don't think I could do a 30-inch box jump with 60 pounds extra body weight.
I bet you could.
Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to try it. But it is a cool observation, because for you there, it's part of a good workout because it's pushing you a little bit and it's giving you that reason, to continue trying for something because you have that little empirical measurement of incremental progress.
It's my way of showing my efforts have been applied correctly and I've achieved it.
Oh, I see.
I sit on a high level mentally when it comes to physical challenges. Like people call me very competitive, but it's very competitive usually with physical things.
I see. Yeah.
Don't
need to get a high score on a video game.
Nah, I mean, no, not that I can let go, but
Right.
it's the physical things. I don't want to lose my ability for someone to say, hey man, you want to go snowboarding? Oh, I can't, man, my body. No, I want to say yes. But then the next day someone say, hey, you want to go play golf? Yeah, sure. My body's prepared for that too. So
that's cool. Yeah. It gives you a wide world when you can go into those activities.
Well, then I'll lead into this too. So let's continue with that weighted vest so they know that the next exercise I was doing was something completely different. So I was doing eccentric box step-ups. So I'd step up and do the eccentric down, holding that 5 count, trying to slow down. Well, I had that weighted vest on too. Then I would drive up and stand up real quick, or try to. With 60 pounds, it's ridiculous.
Okay, so for the audience, you're going weight vest on, 1 foot on the box,
Correct.
1 foot on the ground,
Correct.
and then using that elevated foot, one leg only to
Try
bring yourself up
try
onto the
not
box.
to use the back foot very much to drive through.
Okay.
And then eccentrically holding that slowly coming down, like real slow compression,
Really slow.
right?
That's hard.
It is very hard.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between the box jump, which is really dynamic and takes a lot of wind, and then there's this
So just an instantaneous movement.
right, and then I go into this
other side.
really kind of slow, really heavy feeling movement pattern.
Yeah, I see.
It's like, okay, now I'm asking my muscle to do something a little bit different. Slow down, right?
So a good workout includes this thorough nature by having something fast, something slow, something heavy, something body weight.
I this is how my whole training works, though. I pick pieces. Like I train my legs every day. However, I don't focus on my hamstrings as much every day.
I see.
I pick certain movements to do my hamstrings on different days so they don't, conflict.
Right.
But then I do switch out from more dominating through the quadricep or the calf. These are the things I focus on going front and back.
Piece by piece. Right.
Well, look, maybe this will wrap it up how I love to train my own body.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know how hard it is to throw a baseball with your opposite hand? Right?
yeah.
You're non-dominant.
Right.
It looks ridiculous.
Doesn't feel very good.
Right.
And, yeah.
I want my body to be able to throw a baseball both ways, and you don't even know which hand I am.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right?
Nice.
You have no idea. I tell my clients, I go, when I rake the leaves out of my yard, I rake them with one hand on the bottom and then I switch
switch it
up.
up.
And they're like, what? I'm going, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I do the same thing when I was sweep the stadium grill in Corvallis, Oregon.
Right.
After game day.
I use my left hand and arm as much as I can to mimic my right side.
Right.
So that you would never know where his dominant side is. Unlike when I skate, you know, I have to ride with my right foot forward because I'm not very good with my left foot forward. Which is just called switch. But I'm working on things like that. So it does help me to be more competent in looking like I ride that way normally.
Yeah, interesting. So there's a serious component of self-mastery.
Yeah. These are all part of what makes my workout good for me is that I know that if I jump off my left, it looks just like I'm jumping off my right, and you can't tell.
Right.
I feel like for my future, as I age, that I know I'm not going to have a displacement of hip pressures and tensions because I've been working thoroughly to make sure both sides are evenly stressed.
I think that's real important, you know, because the training that a person is doing on a daily basis eventually is going to come back to be part of the equation for them. So to be preemptively thinking about future self and keeping yourself safe that way, that's important.
Well, what do you want to be? Do you want to be that knife that has just the two blades, the longer blade and the shorter blade? Or would you rather be like a Swiss Army knife where you've got like a spoon and a corkscrew? And, you know, how do you want to end up when you're 70? Like, I know I just speak for middle-aged men more because that's my age range maybe, because I keep thinking like, I want to still snowboard when I'm 70.
Yeah.
I really do.
I think it's cool that you bring this up because, you know, a lot of people would probably see a fitness professional and say, oh, you know, his goal is to be buff looking, or his goal is to have certain size arms, or, you know, win a championship. But in reality, you're listing things that are real life events. Saying, I want to be able to go snowboarding. I don't want to feel bad. I can put the plates on the top shelf of the kitchen cabinet.
I don't want to grab my lower back and start whining about my sciatica anymore.
Yeah.
I want to know, I mean, yeah, I may have it, but I want to know the things that are going to help me healthily get through it, right?
Yeah.
I know I'm never going to beat certain things that I have, but I'm not going to sit there and let that tell me I can't do something. I'm going to find a way around it safely so I can continue on doing the things I love, which is all the stuff, like I said it before, physical.
I think that's awesome, man. I think that's really important to share because, you know, someone might be listening to this podcast and they could say, oh, you know, why would I even care about what makes a good workout for these guys? Well, you should care because we're trying to achieve the things that our clients tell us that they're trying to achieve also.
Well, I also want clients that want to achieve that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm actually I'm looking for men who are trying to achieve that fitness level, saying, I don't want to ache and complain. I want to do something about it. But there's so much material out there that doesn't help me as a middle-aged man. Dude, trust me, I've watched this stuff that these people are putting out on YouTube. I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed that this is some of the material they're putting out there. And I'm just like,
Disappointing.
and not to get on another rant, but let me put it to you this way.
Yeah, tell me.
Because I wrote some stuff down because you said sets and reps and blah, blah, blah. I said, well, I do isometrics. I do plyometrics, pulses, progressive overloading, athletic training. I use bands, bars, bells.
Okay.
You know, I use weighted vests.
A lot of different implements, a lot of different methods.
Rings, suspension bands, BOSU, anything that I can get my hands on to train with, I have done it. And my variety is huge.
Yeah.
And I also need that as a trainer because I need that. For me, I need the variety to go through because what is my scope? A Swiss Army knife. I want to be good at damn near everything I can be.
That makes total sense. Yeah. And I can definitely respect that. And I think another part of this is, you know, we have to recognize that people like you and me spend dramatically more time in the gym than most people. Because if a client comes and sees us for 1 hour, we've already been there for 1 hour with the previous. We're going to stay there for another hour. So we're in the gym for 3 hours, maybe in one afternoon. Our mind is always thinking about, oh, what if I connect that to this or a band over there?
Have you ever done...
what is the angle of my body here?
Yeah,
so we really have this...
Contemplate
I think
all the time.
a little bit... Yeah, we have like a little bit of an over desire towards variety.
That's true.
Because we're just there so much.
True.
And we've seen our own workouts and done our squat progress, but we've also watched our clients squat progress and the next client's squat progress. And so we've kind of seen squats a million times as well. And so ultimately, it can get a little bit boring. And I think that there's a tendency to balance that out with variety. But as we alluded to, variety is earned through proficiency. Proficiency at those base movements, making sure you move well and then you move frequently. That's how you start to get some of these variety of implements and some of the different paces and some of those other real snazzy science words that you used when we talk about like the reality of a training session.
Yeah, I think what we see though through social media and stuff is like a lot of people want to sell these just hyper unrealistic programs with all these specialty moves and stuff
Super
like
flashy.
that. And their commercials sound so convincing. I've watched them. I'm like, damn, let me get in. I'm like, I want to get in right in on that. Is it that hardcore? Because let me sign up, right? And then I now realize is that no. People sign up for this and they have no idea of what it's going to take for them to get it. So they don't really finish it up because the level of entry is so high and it's so variety based that they can't complete things correctly.
Sure.
So I'd like to take a step back. Like you said, look, you need to learn a certain few patterns and you need to learn them as perfectly as you can.
Yeah.
And if you can't learn those patterns right away, it's probably because your mobility and flexibility is hindering that process. And maybe we need to take a step even further back and say, hey, let's fix this car's tires first. Let's blow them up with air so that they can move first before putting load on your body.
Yeah, that's so true. Man,
why not?
By analogy, like you're saying with the car, how many people have talked to you about, kind of their fitness plan and they say, hey, I want to achieve X, Y, and Z goal. It's metaphorically like they're trying to navigate to some location. They're asking you for directions. And you look at them and say, well, your car's not even drivable. Definitely not that far, right? People tell us these great weight loss goals. It's like, yeah, man, you should lose 100 pounds. I'm not trying to be mean. It's for your own health and benefit. But you cannot, right now, you cannot do the number of workouts it's going to take to lose the weight in a safe amount of time because you don't squat properly enough to do that many workouts without knee pain derailing you. And so there's definitely this idea of like, hey, we have to make sure that when we're doing these things, we're doing them correctly. And correctly can be as small as one single individual repetition of one movement and as big as, that entire workout all put together. And so if we think about this, this entire workout, something you've mentioned a few times now is movement patterns. If we're going into the gym and we're going to say, hey, how do we make a good workout? What are the movement patterns that we should include?
Right.
That's what we have to decide for an individual person. And
well,
I think
we've decided that already.
Yeah, absolutely. So for my own self for a workout, or if I was creating one for a client, I know that there's 6 broad movement categories that I'm going to include.
Wait, just
in their
6?
Workout. These are like the base ones.
Yeah.
This is what I would make sure is in there, whether a person is going to then perform those with body weight, band, a dumbbell, a weight vest on, whatever it may be. They're going to then capture their movement pattern at the level that's appropriate to them.
Okay, so implement or tool to help them achieve the pattern.
Right, yeah. Pattern is coming first, and then we find the right level of challenge by tweaking that.
What tool we give them. Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, what are the 6?
Okay, so the 6. First of all, we have to have a hinge and a squat. These are both lower body movement patterns. The hinge is a deep bend at the hips. Most people can easily identify it as a deadlift, picking something up off the ground. We need to do that with a nice flat back so that the hips and the pelvis are the primary movers to help us stand up safely. So number 1 is the hinge. Number 2 is also lower body, the squat. We're using the hips and the knees. So we're bending the knees deeply, lowering our hips down towards the floor. Children do this, automatically and naturally.
This is how children learn to stand.
Yeah, it's the way that the human leg is meant to bend to get us lower to the ground.
Isn't that squat called it's not the infant squat, it's the of course I'm going to lose this right now.
See if you think of it.
Anyway, but continue on.
We need that squat pattern because it talks about the health of wellness of our lower body, our leg muscles. So the knee and the hip are hugely involved. And when we load it with external challenge, whether that's our own body weight or if we're starting with one of those implements, we actually have to then also look at the spine and the shoulders. So it's really a full body movement. So to recap, we got the deadlift, we got the squat. Those are our 2 lower body. They're really the big ticket, and they're the 2 that I mentioned first because if I'm short on time, those are the 2 that I'm going to make sure to do. Like I said, legs, When you start it with weights, you'll involve the core as well. And of course, your heart rate will go up just from performing a set of either of these two movements.
You know, many people have asked me, is squats cardio after they're done because of that, of that like breathing, your they're so
heart
tense.
has to deliver oxygenated blood to your working muscles.
Every,
so you'll feel
every
it.
muscle's tensed up and restricting blood flow. And people are like, is this cardio? I'm like, it feels like
your heart is definitely receiving a training.
It's definitely loaded.
So hinge, which we usually express as a deadlift, and then squat is number 2. And again, just as a reminder, these can be body weight to start with. They can work up to involving a band, a kettlebell, a dumbbell, a barbell, a sandbag, a human person. If you're in a wrestling camp, you're doing a squat with somebody on your shoulders.
If you got to do it,
it's still a squat pattern.
Still a course,
Yeah, and so I think a good workout involves these two. And then when we work into the upper body, we can push and we can pull. And so when you have that, if you think about your hands, you can do a push-up or push someone away from you. You could also grab on and pull yourself towards or pull something towards you. Now, that pushing and pulling happens in 2 different directions. Number 1 is horizontal, so directly away from us in front. The other one is vertical, pushing straight up overhead. Yeah. So really we have almost like 4.
It's 4.
Yeah, pushing, pulling, horizontally, and vertically.
Yep. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep. Yeah, so not quite. We got squat, hinge, push, and pull. And I'm going to count those push and pull, the vertical, the horizontal. I count that as only 1 because most people, it's pretty challenging in 21st century life. We're all at a computer so much. Vertical pulling and vertical pushing is pretty challenging for the shoulder pretty often. So those are frequently cut out, and we just rely on the horizontal pulling and the horizontal pushing because it still allows us to train those associated muscles, but it's a little easier on the joint. So far we have hinging, squatting, pushing horizontal, pulling horizontal. Those are 4. That leaves us with just 2 more. The last 2, number 1 is direct core, and this is going to be, again, chosen by what you like and what you're able to do. So it could be you're in a plank, or you're in hollow body, or you're starting to hold a weight or do a Russian twist or work with the landmine, something where we're directly connecting with those 6-pack muscles in the front, and then also the core of the backside, glutes, low back, and hamstring.
Internal, external, stuff like that,
Counter rotation, something here. This is the broad categories, remember, that we're talking about. So number 5 category is direct core. And then last one, number 6, this is where we're carrying an object.
Oh, so body load, just something loaded.
Exactly, yeah. And so
like a vest.
Ultimately, we need to have the ability to move our own selves plus other stuff, whether it's bags of groceries, a toddler on your hip,
I see.
Right? Or you're a war guy and you have all your gear on and your rifle. You have to be able to start to carry that stuff. And so we get this chance to put things in both hands or put them on the shoulder or put it in a vest or one hand. So we have to keep ourselves vertical and we're not betraying our posture. A lot of ways we can develop the posture, develop the fitness through that loaded carry. It doesn't have to be necessarily tremendously heavy, but it certainly can be. And when it is heavy, it gives us a benefit of just putting that much pounds of work through your body.
Okay, so just like my weighted vest, that extra load.
Yeah, you're carrying that extra load.
Something that's not normally there, but forces my body to hold it in position because you could be dropped. Okay.
And it could be a farmer's carry. It could be a waiter's walk. It could be a combo of the 2.
Kettlebell marches, all kinds of stuff. Okay, so let's tie that.
And I think the key on this is that it's full body contraction simultaneously and in a very normal way, walking pattern, right? It's a very normal way for your body to move. And there's a fantastic harmony that comes from including these 6 movement patterns, not leaving anything out, because all of them influence each other. So if we see a workout or a workout program that is lacking any loaded carries, I can know automatically that individual would get more results if they did what they had written down plus added loaded carries, because it's going to complete that workout.
So let's make this word come back because I don't think we've used it here. Is the compound workout?
Absolutely.
So what you're describing is this full body contraction, this thing like this, which squats and deadlifts give us. These are also called compound movement patterns.
Multiple joints,
Multiple
multiple
muscles.
muscles, a serious coordination factor because you're moving multiple segments of your body at once.
Pat your head, rub your stomach. There has to be linked
Start
correctly.
with your hips, keep your knees here, chest up.
Which, if anybody listening, I would like to say this and go on record. The squat and the deadlift are actually very complicated lifts to do.
Definitely.
They take sometimes years to perfect and understand because they are complicated. So if your trainers are out there saying that these things are easy and I'll show you how to do it, trust me, teaching the squat and deadlift perfectly to somebody takes a long time. If you guys are struggling with that squat and deadlift, you know what? We understand. Right. It's complicated.
Yeah.
It should be.
I'm glad you put that out there kind of as a disclaimer because, we're talking about movements that have maximum effectiveness. The squat and the deadlift is a great example, but they also can be just as impactful to you negatively.
Yes.
And just as much as they can help you, they can hurt you. And nothing derails your progress like a joint injury. So we really want to keep that at the top of your mind. These are effective, but they pack a punch. If you do them wrong, they're going to get you. And I think that the fact that we do these fitness moves repetitively under load that is near our own limit, and while we are introducing fatigue, well, that means that we have to be even more strict about how precise we are with our technique.
Yes.
Right? You can't afford to be even 1% incorrect because we're going to do 30 reps today, 150 reps this week, 5,000 reps by the end of the year. That has a magnifying effect if it's even a little bit off.
It does. It has definitely a side effect.
Yeah.
And I'm sure every trainer out there has gone through that too, where they like get their person under load, and then the next thing you know, the person's like, "Oh, my back," and you're like, "Ugh." Yeah. You're like, "Of course it's your back. We know it's your back. Why do we know it's your back? Because we know you sit at a desk all day." So I'm going to lead it into this then, since we are talking about the deadlift. Thank you for keep going with that. This is how I would modify it. Just so that people understand that, we'd love for you to have this compound lift. However, there's more than one way to get this job done. And this is where I think this ties in.
Yeah.
Well, some of my clients can't do the bar quite correctly.
Right.
Right? Because to even get into it, our smallest bar is 35 pounds, which requires you to have to be in a certain position, right? Well, why don't we use kettlebells? Okay. Well, we can't go all the way down yet. Well, let's elevate that from the bottom up just a little bit, right?
On a pedestal, so it's not quite as low as
just
the floor.
Start the beginning of the rhythm. So what makes a good workout, and to tie this into that, it's like adjustment of one's ability is okay.
Yeah.
Just because you see somebody doing it and you mimic it doesn't mean you're going to get that same result. It's okay to modify this to start it from somewhere.
Yeah.
And I wish more trainers would do this. It's okay to take a step back and say, what's the real problem here? Oh, their mobility is off. So I want you guys to know, even if it's a different implement, it will still work.
Right.
And it leads us to that next thing. And this was what I do a lot.
That's a good point.
And this is why I train with kettlebells, dumbbells, barbells, balls, you name it.
Yeah.
So I can use them all. For one, but yet I can use them all safely. I'd love to have that kind of variety for people.
Yeah, so I think that's a great point to bring up because basically what you're saying is that, with that variety of object, we once again get to precisely match our ability to what we can do that day. And that's coming back to what we touched on earlier, which is the challenge zone. We need to take our workout slightly beyond what we're currently capable of so that your body gets a big signal to change, to make some stronger muscle fibers or to burn some body fat or whatever the difference you're looking for. Now, I really want to bring this up because it's something I hear from clients all the time. They'll say, when do the workouts get easier? Oh. And it's like, dang it, And both of us kind of we just recoiled and sat up a little straighter and said,
I forgot you were going to bring that up. Yeah, it's true.
But here's what I want to say about it. First and foremost, when we're in this situation, we don't actually want workouts to get easy because when they're easy, that means they're no longer giving your body that reason to hit the next level. Okay. DJ, go ahead and hit that recording on there again. Go for a red button a second time. Now, as DJ's doing that, I'll just say we don't want to get it easy because that ends us with a workout that's not making us any different. That being said, when you get to a place that you like with your body, then the workouts can be more maintenance, more of just keeping you right where you're at. And in that situation, they will feel easier because you've ultimately been able to do more.
Do you have maintenance workouts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody should have a routine that kind of keeps things going and builds momentum for you so that when you're ready to ramp things up, you're already ready. You don't have to start getting there.
Wait a minute. I think we also missed something here in this podcast.
Oh, yeah?
Well, we kind of went on to what I do, right? I mean, kind of what I did with my weighted vest, I mean, which is not all of what I did, but yet we haven't heard kind of what you do. We don't have no idea. Oh, I know what you do, but why don't we share a little bit about what you do so clients know that maybe your workouts are completely different than mine.
Right. Yeah. Well, so I think that's, I would like to share that actually, because one of the things that I think needs to happen more often in the health and fitness industry is fitness professionals need to talk about the non-heroic workouts that they do. But it's not really the trend right now, right? I'm not going to post that I did less than 100 push-ups and 200 sit-ups and 300 squats and ran a mile, 2 miles. And so we have to actually acknowledge, and I'm going to say this right now, like out loud for the whatever millionth time, but for the first time on recording, the majority of workouts that I do are medium to medium high effort. They're not Navy SEAL caliber. They're not worth telling people about. They don't have any notably high numbers for reps or load or anything. But what they do is they make sure that I get to the gym 5 days a week or 6 or whatever. And that consistency is the biggest value.
Would you say that you, at your level of training the years you've been, it's more intuitive how you train your body? It's not necessarily our reps. It's what we're feeling in that moment, and we're working to the point where we know that that's the amount of effort I want and nothing more or nothing less.
Right.
So when people are listening to you, let's notice this, right?
Yeah.
We are a little bit different. It's really intuitive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So by building that really high proficiency, we have that kind of subconscious or non-empirical way to adjust. Yeah. Say, hey, I don't know exactly what my reps are going to be for this next one, but I'm going to go until I feel that exact right challenge on my back, and that's it for today, and I'm done.
Yep. Okay. That's great. I love that. Thank you.
It takes some time to build up to that, but I'll tell you that it's absolutely worth getting towards, because it really shows that you've got a good awareness of your own self and what you're capable of. And there's a confidence that comes from knowing that you can pick something up and carry it, or run up the flight of stairs and quickly catch your breath again. Having that kind of underlying ability beyond what it just looks like you could do or what you have to do on a regular basis, well, that really makes you feel good about the world. And so if an easy or medium workout that happens frequently helps you towards that goal, it will be so much better than these Navy SEAL workouts that only happen once every 3 weeks.
Okay, well, let's bring it back to that heroic thing that you were just talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've got this before, and when I've trained, and so when people see me do box jumps with weighted vest and these kind of like Turkish get-ups with the 75-pound kettlebell, it's like
big bowling ball.
They see these, like, from the outside, people see these as like very heroic if they know what they are.
I see.
They're like, because I've had people come up to me like, dude, that workout you just did was insane.
Yeah.
And I want to say to them, I was like, actually, that was just kind of like medium.
Oh, I see.
Medium hard. Yeah, that's where I'm going to go with this, because they may see from out there, like, did you just see that what that dude did? Like, that's actually pretty hard, because they recognize that there's an effort, but yet for you and me, some of this stuff is like, that's just where I'm at.
So our medium looks heroic.
I
got you.
I've gotten that from people.
That's a good observation. Yeah, definitely.
And it's the same thing when you see somebody who's just.
I think that makes it even more important to say, because let's say that you're a person who's observing your workout or my workout. You see us at the gym because we both went there at the same time of day. Mm-hmm. That might be your only session of the week, whereas myself, is in there 3-4 additional times. So a person might watch my workout that I'm doing as a medium effort, and they might be like, wow, that's heroic. He does that every day. Well, that's kind of true, but it's also kind of not true, because while it looks heroic, it's become medium through practice and building up the body. And so we kind of know intuitively, all of us, all individuals know, like, when we learn to drive. At first, when you're getting your driver's permit, it's this whole ordeal to like back out of the driveway and check both lanes and make sure you do everything safely. But
While
after
sweating and being very nervous.
Yeah, nervous, right? Exactly. You're worried about all the consequences. After some amount of time, maybe years go by, you're backing out of the driveway with one hand while you sip your coffee, and it's like you've done it a bunch of times, so you know how to do it well. Right. It doesn't occupy as much of your brain space anymore.
Do you still get frustrated tying your shoes?
No.
You've done it so many times, you're just that good at it?
It used to be its own event. Now you're just doing it while you're talking to someone or doing it while you think about getting back to your run or whatever. And I think fitness movements can start to occupy a similar place for us as well. And so if you keep your program to something that is going to make you feel good, you can do it even when you have medium or medium high energy, and you can get that consistently, well, then you're really building yourself up to the point where you have that momentum and you've got that proficiency. And now you're ready as soon as you want to, let's say hypothetically, bring up your fitness level to look really good for your friend's wedding. It's at a beach place in Mexico, so everybody's going to be fancy and then going to be partying. You want to have a good body. Well, day one, you've already got workout routine, good gym habit. All the stuff is lined up for you to start increasing the speed.
It's like a mild
straight
tune-up,
away.
right? Just a quick tune-up. Yep. That's all it is.
While your competitors, other people are saying, oh man, I want to look fit for that wedding that we're going to. I got to get a program. I got to figure out what's wrong with me. I need to work my mobility. I have to find the right gym clothes. I need to order equipment so I have something at home. Well, meanwhile, the person who's participated in easy and medium workouts this whole time, he's got all that stuff ready. Yeah. He can increase his speed straight away. And I think that goes a long way towards making a quote unquote a good workout.
I can use this in real life for myself because I don't want to work out so hard or have to eat in a certain manner to maintain a certain amount of body fat. So I hover between 11 and 12% body fat, like all the time. But like you said,
that would be like a result for a lot of people. They'd say, hell yeah, you won. I want to be there and I'd be happy.
I'm super happy. I mean, my stomach's flat. My arms are bulgy enough.
Yeah.
But like you said, if I really wanted to fine tune, I'm already ready to go. I just have to make some adjustments with what I'm eating, and it's going to happen within a few weeks.
Yep.
So, but I don't do that because I don't want to live that lifestyle, and I don't have an event coming up where I feel like I need to do that. Now, if they want to put me on a cover for a magazine, well, then I'd probably go ahead and just trim myself up just a little bit because I'm going to be on a magazine. But no one's going to ever do that.
Yeah.
So that's
it's just a hypothetical.
It's a hypothetical.
But what you're saying is that when you want to step on the gas and speed up, you just can.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing.
The thing I'm going to use to do it is so easy to tweak because that's the only thing that's making the difference is my nutrition.
Yep.
I like cookies.
There you go. Yeah.
So what?
Well, see, man, and this is what people tell us that they want. Like I want to be able to just kind of go to the gym and feel good about my life, but not have it occupy too much of my time. And I don't look like I'm there, like I'm a meathead and I'm there all the time, quote unquote. Well, it's like, okay, cool. I'm going to, again, advocate for the medium to medium high workout that happens consistently. And if you can get that going regularly, then over time, I'm going to be able to sneak in 4 sets or 15 reps or 18 reps. We're slowly building you up. Ultimately, you are going to be doing a workout which 6 weeks or 6 years ago would have been too much. It would have made you sore and tired and not wanting to come back. But by gradual buildup, your body has become tolerant to that. And now you're putting that load 3-4 times a week. That has such a profound effect. And it's a way bigger effect than these workouts that look big on their own, right? The heroic one that we post about. Yeah. And so it's kind of like these little, I would say almost like, underground workouts where you go in, you do your shoulders, you get your pushing, pulling, hinging, squatting, you get some direct core. It's nothing to brag about to anybody. You're not going to shout out what you did in your workout, but you're going to come back 24 hours later and do almost the same thing.
Well, yeah, I'm not.
Those 2 sessions together outweigh any one Navy SEAL workout, and it's going to become 3, 4, 5 in the course of a week.
Yeah, my workouts are is exactly that, man. Yeah, like I don't come in the next day like, oh man, my hamstrings are busted up. Yeah. Because I got to have that next hamstring workout or that next leg workout. I can't afford to have my legs busted up.
You want just the right amount of soreness.
So I do my legs, well, again, because I know myself so well. I know what number, I know what feeling I'm looking for. Yeah. Sometimes it's 12. Sometimes it's 20. The other day I did 100 leg presses. Mm-hmm. what? 100?
what it
What?
took, yeah.
It was a drop set.
And it wasn't just 100 because it's a round number.
Right. It was just like, this is by the time I felt, because I was working on my endurance and I was working on something very special with the way I was doing my sets. And so I was very intent on why I'm doing 100. I don't do 100 like the internet people, like, do 100 leg presses and see what happens. I'm like, no, I've been really working on this. I've been snowboarding more, and I've been working this endurance muscle. I'm just using that sled for some help.
Yeah, see, so you got to have a little extra challenge in your workout because you've built your body up to be able to handle a little extra in these progressive steps. And I think that it's such an important thing for people to keep in mind. So, really when I tell people about this, I say, hey, let's draw a distinct line between physical activity and exercise. And people kind of get this a little bit confused to start with, right? But exercise, just to be real definition based here, exercise is when we're purposefully exceeding what we can currently do. You're going to feel high heart rate, sweaty, uncomfortable, although temporary, and that's going to cause your body to say, hey, we need to make something different so that we can handle that challenge next time. That's exercise.
That's exercise.
Physical activity does not push you into that realm. Physical activity is what you're already capable of doing without feeling challenged by it. Correct. And we have to acknowledge that some people can handle more physical activity than others.
Right.
For some people, it's hard to get down the driveway to the mailbox because of their cardiovascular health or their muscle strength or whatever. For other people, they can walk their dog after they pick up their kids, and they can wrestle, and they can have already worked all day. That's the physical activity that, again, for both those individuals, it's not exercise. It's just keeping them where they're already at. And the more you can push yourself with your exercise, then the more you can enjoy your physical activity. And ultimately, the reason I bring all this up is because ultimately you can titrate down your physical activity, your exercise.
Right.
Replace it with physical activity, which you will probably enjoy more in the gym time.
Yes.
I'll be honest. Right? Because clients aren't like us. They're not in it for the thrill of it. But if you want to make that change where you're in the gym less, well, your workouts are going to be intense but relatively brief. And that's going to lend you the chance to participate in physical activity more often.
That's right. And if you're in that realm now where you're wanting to go out and play, which is, I'm a big fan of this play thing. You're going to hear me talk about this more.
Yep.
I've been really trying to amp up my clients and saying, hey, we're getting close to it's middle age.
Bouncing on the trampoline, you get sore, you're running, you're playing on the court. That stuff really matters.
Well, we get to an age, man, where
but the reason why it matters is because I want people to be able to say, hey, I just played blank, fill in the blank, for 90 minutes. It was the best workout I've ever had. And then the next morning, you don't feel like you got hit by a truck. Because if you can have that sensation, if you can play for 90 minutes and you feel great and you want to do it again the next day or 2 days later, 3 times a week, you're going to be happy. And I want to be happy for you with that.
Or maybe you do feel it the next day, but yet your stretches and your mobility routines, and you bring out
you can work on yourself.
You bring out your massage gun, and you
alleviate some of that discomfort.
You do that stuff that lets you go out the next day and hit
powerful.
It up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the message I would send my clients who say it to me all the time. Oh, I got done snowboarding, man. The next day I was so sore. I was like, did you stretch? And they go, oh. I'm like, come on, bro.
Yeah, you're not looking out for yourself.
I taught you well, but that's what we're talking about. And I do want to come home from snowboarding. And I don't want to feel that the next day, like, dude, my back is out or my neck.
Yep.
And you can still has happen. I've been doing it now lately, and I'm in physical shape to do this. I took a tumble, man. I felt it in my neck.
Right.
So even if you are in shape and ready to do this, you can still get lit up too.
Sure, yeah.
I just rather be.
Of course, with those, you're going to be more durable. The stronger you are, you can catch yourself better when you hit the ground. You'll have strong neck muscles to prevent your head from hitting. All that kind of stuff really talks about keeping yourself safe. And if exercise can enable you to participate in more physical activity, but the physical activity is safe because you've brought your capable body with you.
Yes.
Well, then that really means you're going to be able to do it more frequently, and you're going to feel confident starting into that participation, right? Like you want to go on a hike because you can go all the way and you're not going to be stranded or get hurt or have a problem.
I painted my whole house. Mm-hmm. And, people think, well, that's not very laborious. It's like, okay.
Only people who don't know.
Try painting your house. Now, like you say, in physical activities, sure, I'm out here painting this house, and it's, during the summer, so
not
it's
exercise.
hot.
You're not doing sets and reps. Yeah.
But I'm sweating out there,
Yeah.
and my shoulders do burn a little bit because, there's a lot of rolling going on. But
Yep.
I have already done so many other things that day and worked out.
Yep.
But yet this activity, it's not wrecking me. I'm like, I painted this whole thing myself. Actually, I put a lot of stuff on Instagram about it, like having the ability.
See, that's a great side benefit.
To like, my body can be bent over like this and reach these areas without feeling it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of highlights what you're saying. It's like, I want that body.
Yeah.
Want that training to be able to do these things like play and do the things that are functional.
Before
for
it
me.
became a buzzword.
Oh, yeah, functional training.
So again, if we're leaning on our definitions, really thinking about functional training as being, let's say, moving your own body as far as you can safely. And that's typically going to be these compound movements, and it's typically going to be free weights, right? Not bound into the path of a machine or a cable pulley. And those really have, like we alluded to earlier, they have the biggest bang for your buck. They'll be the most effective for you, but they're technically complex and they can be injurious if done incorrectly. Now, the thing to keep in mind is that the injuries usually come in at the upper levels when we're either working with an implement or a pace or a complexity that's not appropriate. So we talked about the base movement patterns, and I hope that we made it clear that those movement patterns can be executed anywhere from body weight to significant external load.
Let me repeat them.
Yeah, go ahead, hit us.
Hinge, squat, push, pull, overhead.
Yeah, either vertical
or horizontal.
Horizontal.
Direct core and body loaded.
Right, loaded carry.
Like something like kettlebells
Yep.
or vests
Yep.
or sandbags
Yep.
or your buddy.
Yeah, and so we got that. We got those movements. We got the idea of different implements. The last thing I want to talk on is the pace or the way we perform the movement. And you can think about
intensity, pace,
Maybe.
or just like timing.
the cadence of one individual repetition.
Okay.
Right? Because we could take you and we could give you a 50-pound kettlebell, or we could give you a 250-pound weight on the barbell balanced on your back. Well, if you took that 50-pound kettlebell and you squatted it, but you went 1/5 the speed, it might actually be harder than the 250-pound back squat with the barbell.
Tempo.
Because you're going so slowly.
Pace.
Tempo. Pace. Cadence, exactly.
Got it.
And I love this because we can actually go from the entire spectrum, from what DJ talked about at the beginning of this podcast when he mentioned the box jumps, plyometric training. It's power, right? The speed of your strength. It's instantaneous to launch yourself up onto that box. That would be one end of the spectrum of our pace. The other side of it, we can go all the way to stationary, non-moving. Things like holding a squat or holding your chin over the pull-up bar. Intense muscular contraction, but actually no movement happening.
Like the eccentric box step ups I was doing.
An eccentric so slow, it's become a non-centric.
Yeah,
an isometric is the correct
almost,
term. Yeah. But this is fantastic because when we're in an isometric, we get all the muscle tension, but very little load on the joint.
Yeah.
You can think about, right? If you do half a pull-up and you just pause right there, you've barely bent your elbow at all, but you're still getting a ton of tension through your arm and your lats,
abs, shoulders,
absolutely.
You name it.
So we've talked movement patterns, we've talked implements, and the last thing I want to lay on there is once you've got those movements and you've got the implement of choice, now you can talk about pace. How long are you going to be holding that thing? How slowly does it take for you to go from start to halfway? And then how long are you there before you stand back and finish the movement? These are all the factors that I think can get missed a little bit, but are crucially important because if you're going in for that fourth workout of the week and you got this intuitive adjustment that you've built over a long time building your proficiency in the workouts, well, you can make the adjustment to say, hey, I'm going to go a little lighter, but I'm going to go very slowly, or I'm going to do a 5-second pause at the bottom. And these are the adjustments where when you had a little less energy, you modified to make it a little more doable for that day, but you're still keeping in mind on your movements, your implements, and now your pace.
Okay, here's an example. Here's what I do. Here's
it.
what you should share something that you do because you really didn't share your exercises, but I don't know how much time we have, but let's just say this. So
let's go about 5 more minutes.
I do something called a 20-second squat.
Okay.
I do it with 95 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, nobody knows how much I can squat, but I can squat well more than that.
Sure.
I spend 10 seconds going down and 10 seconds trying to come up.
Yeah, that's brutal.
The 10 seconds going down is joy. It's fine. It's actually 10 seconds coming up.
Yeah.
That makes it ridiculous. I get through about 6 of these, and my legs are just saying, you need to put this up. You're not going to be able to get up the next one.
That's brutal, yeah.
So, but that pace, we talk about it also as time under tension.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's our number one variable of an exercise.
Right? 50 pounds can feel lightish. Change that tempo, that pace. That 50 pounds, it will end up feeling like 3,000.
Yep.
If you let it.
Yeah, and I think that this is so important because when we work with lower load, but we go more slowly, we have a much more effective workout on the muscle without putting as much challenge through the joints.
There's that nice little trade-off of lessening that joint problem, which would be great for beginners to do these movement patterns.
Absolutely.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
It's okay to go slow with no load.
Bingo.
Okay.
Yeah, the number of people who start in January and they do these kind of like, let's say, a crummy squat where they're dropping down rapidly, they're sort of plopping in the bottom, and they're using that as momentum to go up again. I know that they're going to drop out of squatting because the way they're doing it is definitely going to cause knee pain. And I just want to say, hey, let's do 1/3 the number of knee bendings, but let's do them 3 times as slowly so that your muscles are responsible the whole way and your joints are not being traumatized by it.
These are really, in essence, for all of us, just modifications we give our clients. They're modifications, and based upon what we know of our clientele, we know when to actually give them these changes in their training, whether it's full range of motion or partial range of motion, or just like we're doing right
Isometric.
now, time under tension. It's all of these things will be good to go, but I think what we should say, I'm going to say it, is maybe we should start with that. I would like to tell a lot of beginners, these are the things you should be started with.
Yeah.
Mobility, flexibility, slow movement patterns, perfecting the 6 with less load than people are saying to do.
Yeah.
If you get these started, this is, I think, the best road. That's how I'm going to say it. That's for me.
I think that's fantastic, man. That's a really good piece of advice for someone to actually hear that and take it to heart and start to use it in their own health and fitness sessions.
Yeah, I think a lot of more people would stay into the gym if it wasn't the requirement to start picking up weights and running on treadmills and being like everybody else, but you just spent 30 minutes just pulling yourself in different directions to loosen up your tight body.
Yeah.
And this way you could go home definitely not sore, but yet feeling better immediately.
Yeah.
And I can't say anything better than that. Feeling that good immediately, you can't put a price on this.
I think that's something everybody deserves. We should be able to get that feeling for ourselves. So I'm into that, definitely.
Feeling good. I'm about that too. I feel pretty good. Hey, you?
I do. Okay. I think with that, man, let's wrap it up. We'll take this as again, pretty long episode. I love that this, these are the ones we go the most in depth because this is the stuff we nerd out about. But as always, we want to hear from you. So questions, comments, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or if you just want to say hi, never hesitate to drop us a message. And of course, if you have an idea, something that you want to hear about on the podcast, send us those content suggestions as well.
Okay, before we sign out, I'm just gonna, because we're working on something here for this show, and we want to kind of like give it this idea like what we are. So I came up with something. I'm gonna share it. Okay. So maybe we'll get some feedback. Okay, because like we haven't really described this show. Like, what is this show? Like, and we've been trying to figure out this bullet. And so I wrote something down. Okay. The show that will detox your brain from the internet garbage that you've been chewing on. That's what this show is.
Okay, there you go.
Some of it.
And it starts with this, we're looking to, you can think about this topic and what we've covered here, and hopefully it does sound a little different from what you've heard from other trainers, and you can use these actually for your advantage.
That's actually the other one I wrote down. The show that covers the topics you're familiar with, but we tell the truth in a direct, no BS format.
There you go.
How it should be said.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
We'll try that one maybe.
Well, we'll keep working on it, and we want to hear from other people to see what they think too, because as we're doing this, we're building the podcast as we go. So thank you for listening to today's episode, and hopefully,
thank you.
Yeah, be back for the next one. We're going to go in episode 5 with the pillars of our coaching. Yeah, so man, DJ's excited.
Dude, I have been thinking about this for so long.
Yeah, cool. So we got today's episode. We're excited for what's coming up, 5A and 5B. Look forward to that one. In the meantime, maybe share this podcast with somebody that you think it would be
Please.
helpful for them, and they can get some benefit from this advice as well.
Cool. That's all I got, man.
All right. Thank you for listening. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Bye.